Hello, pet parents. The festive season is right around the corner, and with Diwali being just a few days away, is your pet getting anxious and jittery because of all those loud noises of firecrackers? Or are you already seeing a pattern of growing nervousness in your pup and you notice them going under the bed or the sofa more often than usual? If yes, you've come to the right place. This is Soumya from PetFed India, your host for today. And as promised, we are here with a really interesting and important session about how to comfort your pets this Diwali. Please welcome our expert guest for today, Priyanka Patki. She is a certified dog trainer and behaviorist, and also the founder of Snout Scout, the dog family, which is a dog training and boarding company. Hi, Priyanka.
Hi, Soumya.
How are you today?
Great, great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. Thank you so much. So, what do you feel about this session that we're going to have today? That how we're going to discuss about the various ways in which we can comfort our anxious and jittery pets during Diwali.
I think it's a great time that we're doing this session, Soumya, because I guess we'll be able to help at least a few pets who will be watching this in comforting them,
Yes.
of course. So once we can
Yes.
explain this to the owners, it's really going to be helpful for the pets, definitely.
That's right. So, people who are joining us now, please feel free to drop in your queries in the comment section below regarding any change in your dog's behavior that you're noticing due to the festivities and celebrations and the firecrackers, and we will surely answer them for you. So before we start getting the audience questions, Priyanka, I wanted to ask you something. First and foremost, we know that animals and pets hear sounds and frequencies which is much higher than humans, right? So this is common knowledge to everybody. But we also assume that every animal or every pet reacts the same way. So is it normal for our pets to be extremely anxious during these days, or are we doing something wrong while raising them?
Absolutely. It's a very interesting question, Soumya, and this is most often people believe that it's only normal for pets to get scared, and it's not true. Yeah, so there are a couple of things actually which contribute to this. One is the genetics. So how the dog is, from where have you got him and all of those things, because there are certain things which come into them genetically. So because of that, you are going to have a dog who's sensitive to sounds. Uh, or the second reason is during the raising period. So what happens is very often we miss out on the early socializing period, right? A lot of people end up keeping their pets indoors because they don't want them to obviously catch infections and all of that in the early
Okay.
stages between before 4 months. I'm talking about till 4 months of age. But because you miss out on this period to expose them to various sounds and everything, a lot of times dogs end up getting more sensitive to these things. And again, another thing which I've seen very common is that because the dog reacts the first time, owners end up not exposing them after that because they think that, okay, my dog is getting scared, versus what should have happened is they should have gradually kept exposing so that the dog would have learned to fight it. So definitely these are the reasons why dogs are getting more and more sensitive, because I've seen a lot of dogs who are absolutely okay. Like the last
Okay.
Diwali, most of our dogs who were living with us in the boarding kennel, they were okay during the entire
Okay.
season with the crackers. So I think it's a lot to do with what you're doing in the raising period as well.
Right. So you're basically saying that if trained the right way and if raised the right way, especially desensitized to these kind of sounds,
Yes.
they can be okay during this time.
Absolutely, absolutely. At least they're going to have a better coping mechanism. See, like again and again, I tell people it's okay to be startled, right? Like, I think even we are startled. If you
Yeah.
suddenly hear a bomb, you are going to be startled, but you cope, you recover. All we are going to do is help the coping. I'm not saying you're not going to be startled, just like us, the dogs are also going to be startled. But as long as they don't just shut down or go and freak out or run away, those things are freaky. So those things you
Right.
can definitely train for.
Right, right. Okay, so talking about that kind of management in anxiety. So noise anxiety in pets is said to be, one of the most common problems that they suffer from. And they say that somewhere between 5 to 15 million dogs worldwide, they're known to suffer from this, and enough for their parents to seek some sort of help. So what kind of help are we talking about here? Is it just purely, like you said, some raising and routine changes and behavioral adjustments that we can make for them, or do we also need to seek out some medicinal help or help from vets or something like that?
Right. Okay, so obviously what I said is true, but if at all, now you have a dog who has been showing a lot of stressful signs, and especially he's an older dog. Okay, you really don't have the kind of time now to work on these things, and especially if you can see really serious symptoms, like there is excessive salivation or there is heavy
Okay,
panting, all of
okay,
these things, sometimes they can get a fever with this. And if the fever really rises above a certain, degree, it can really
mm-hmm.
hit the brain as well. And that is when they can end up getting seizures and all of that. So if you see something radically different, like there is excessive salivation or there is excessive panting, then definitely speak to your vet, because then don't try to wait and just hope for this to pass. It's best to consult your vet. Probably they will suggest some medicine or even a sedation for that matter, if at all it's going to be, that peak time when there are going to be crackers. Let's hope that probably there are not so many crackers. But if these are the symptoms, don't take it lightly. Then don't wait it out. Like whatever we are discussing is more for a early stage or probably a puppy or one of those. But if it's a serious symptom like
Right,
heavy salivation, heavy panting, you can see he's getting really heated up, speak to a vet immediately, because you don't want the fever to increase or any of that.
right, right, makes sense, obviously. So now coming to the real question, when and what needs to be done from, say, today itself, if we want to prepare our pets for Diwali, for the DE day? How can we, what is the kind of conditioning that we should be doing
Right.
from today itself?
Okay. So one thing is that overall, if your dog is not already in a set routine, and by routine I mean, anything that he does, like probably a walk, a play, a training time, some activity with you, start putting him in that kind of a routine. Also try to do it at the times when you know that the crackers are going to really be loud. So give him this active time the other time. Obviously, when like probably the early morning time is generally when people end up bursting crackers, especially on Lakshmi Pujan day or the evenings. So try to just adjust the time a little bit, wherein you have started making your walk time a little different or your play time a little different in the afternoons or late night, so that
Right,
you fix them in that routine from now onwards. Once you've done that, they'll obviously be looking forward. Dogs are literally going to get into any habit that you put them in. So once they are
right,
in that kind of a routine, you have to just follow this on that day as well, right? Because you can do, cracker sound. So there are these few things which a lot of people do suggest that, right now when they're going to be having their meals or they're going to be eating or, sorry, when they're going to be playing, play the cracker sound at a soft volume and then gradually keep increasing it. You can try this, but in my opinion, a dog knows when it's on the music and when it's a real cracker. So they are not dumb. So it is going to
right,
be different. But yeah, just to make sure that maybe we are doing at least something, because if we start seeing that the dog is already reacting just to a crackers on your music system, then definitely he's going to be way worse on the actual day. But just because he
okay,
was okay there doesn't mean he's okay on the actual day, because the sound is different. A music
right,
system sound is way different than a real cracker.
right,
So I would really suggest one is a good routine, and two is you can start with sound, a little bit of sensitizing, because see right now too much of desensitizing is not going to work. We don't have so much time. Okay, this is something we should have started way before. But right now, at
okay,
least when they are eating, when they are playing, start playing some sounds in the background. Yeah, that is
okay,
one. Your main thing is but a good routine, and take them, see, for a normal walk wherever you are normally doing those things, keep taking them. Eventually, I
Right,
want all your dogs to keep seeing sounds on a regular basis. That is when they are not going to freak out when, something like this
right.
happens.
Right, right. Okay. And something about the sound therapy that you're talking about, like, is this like a real thing that how do we do this? Is this an alternate remedy that we are looking at? What
Yes.
kind of therapy are we looking at here? Like, can you elaborate as
So,
to what exactly sound therapy is?
yes, so music definitely helps dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, I have seen this time and again, even with my own dogs. You can literally just Google on YouTube or any of those things, just Google, dog calming music or dog sleeping music, one of these things, and just put it on. And it 100% helps. So even in the kennel, we end up playing these things. So it 100% suits them a little bit. So play music during Diwali also, but started from now. So they almost get conditioned to music and sleep. See, everything in
Okay.
training is about conditioning. So if they're going to start
Right.
getting used to every time you say, like literally, if you have Alexa and all this at home, what we do here, every time I
Yeah.
talk to Alex
Yeah.
at the boarding kennel that play dog sleeping music, my dogs know it is night time and it's time to sleep. Like it's
Okay.
almost now a conditioning when I say play sleeping
Right.
music. So start doing that
Okay.
from now. So,
Okay.
they know that even at that time on the Diwali day, when you say, Alexa, play sleeping music, your dog is going to be like, okay, it's time for me to sleep. Now, whatever
Okay.
happens after that is anyway my sleep time. So, a lot of it is conditioning. They will know that after this, what follows is rest. So, they
Okay.
will sleep off anytime. But music 100% works and try to play these kind of things dog calming, dog sleeping music. Other than that, even random music does help. Obviously, don't play hard rock and all that, but
Right.
it
Of
helps.
course.
Like just normal radio, normal music also helps. But if you do one of these, it's much better.
So, how did you manage to do that with your dogs and the dogs that you have trained? Like from day one, if you could tell the process, like, say, I have a dog at home and he gets very jittery. So, I want to know that where do I start and how do I start this music therapy from?
So when you have finished with your walk, you have finished playing. So one is obviously first exercise. Okay, there is no way to do all this. When your dog is all active and hyper, don't try to
Mhm.
play music and hope he's going to sleep. There is no way, especially a young
Okay.
dog. So once he's done exercising, then you play the music and you also sit down there calmly. So you also don't be all
Okay.
over the place. So then when you're sitting down nicely and you're just sitting there, petting your dog aram se, he will start associating the music with just calmness and sleep. So start associating it like that.
Okay. So, initially, like, it'll be a bit difficult to like help them understand that music actually means something, and then
Yes.
they.
Then they'll
Okay.
get used to it. Yes.
Okay, okay, makes sense. Okay, so let's take a couple of questions that we're already getting, and then we'll move on to more topics that we want to cover. So Arnab is asking कि he has a golden retriever. वो बहुत डरा हुआ है as some of the crackers are already bursting in his colony, and she starts shivering when the crackers burst, and she doesn't even eat during Diwali time. So, what can you suggest to Arnab?
Okay. How old is this dog and what is he trying to feed her? Does she have anything that she really loves? Like she would just do anything to eat that. So probably if it is cheese or chicken or any of those things which your dog literally really loves. So in case if you find something that rewarding, then maybe you can start conditioning her to that. So every time there is a cracker sound, you are going to get that favorite food that you otherwise don't get in the day, but you'll get it only
Mhm.
at that time. If he's saying that she's definitely not accepting food, that means she's too stressed out. So a dog who's not accepting food is really very, very stressed. You'll have to just feed before and after for now, for this Diwali, because we are really right there. But maybe for the next time, what he can start doing is slowly, slowly, you're going to gradually have to desensitize this dog to sounds. So, how you do that is maybe when he's taking her on a walk, he's just walking past and maybe ask a friend to burst a cracker somewhere far away. Okay, maybe at least 100 meters away or something like that. And you walk past. I just want her to hear sounds, but when she's walking past, you don't have to put her in a sit or a down and make her listen to the sound. It just that something happens in the background while we pass off. And then slowly, 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 the cracker can be probably a little bit closer, not exactly in her face, but where she can see that the sound is right here. But that will be a very gradual process. See, desensitization is one thing which have to go very slowly. You cannot do it
Okay.
farafat in 2 days and 3 days. But this is
Right.
for next Diwali. For this Diwali, I would probably suggest that try to see if she has something which is extremely rewarding and she will still accept. If not, then just feed her before and after. And when she's getting scared, just let her take comfort wherever she wants to. If she's hiding under something, just let her be there. It's okay. Let her just hide and be there.
Okay. All right. So Priyanka Barot says that you true about the raising period. I take my pup for walks, and so many bikes pass by with that annoying noise. But my pup doesn't get scared or distracted. However, this is my pup's
Great.
first Diwali. Hoping for the best.
Great, awesome. Keep doing it. So you're doing the right thing. Keep doing it. See, keep exposing, and what you're doing is right. That just keep walking past. You shouldn't have
Right.
something in the dog's face. That is when sometimes, the issue starts because you force your dog to face it. That's not necessary.
Okay, all right. So Diksha Bhatia, she's asking that I have a Labrador. He is 2 years old. He is not a big music fan and gets very anxious during Diwali. How do I help him with this anxiety? So clearly, music therapy is something that might not work here.
It's not going to work. Okay, so
Okay.
what you can do is, Diksha, probably, like I said, the first part of tiring out your dog. So, whatever he likes. So, if he's a lab, if he has a great play drive, and if he likes to play with you, maybe with the ball or a tug or whatever, play enough so that he is nicely tired. Feed him before, like at a time when there are not going to be any crackers, and then just let him chill. And like again, I said that if he's getting anxious, by anxious again, I'll have to know the degree of what his anxiety is. If he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
hide under something, if he's trying to do any of that, just let him be. Or if he's sticking to you and he just wants you to touch him, that is also perfectly fine. Okay. Versus a lot of people telling owners that don't touch your dog because you're going to reinforce the fear. That's not true. Okay, you
Okay.
cannot reinforce fear like that. You can touch your
Okay.
dog if they are scared. It's perfectly fine.
Right.
So, depending on what your dog is doing, I think just let him be. If he wants to hide, let him hide. Don't pull him out and be like, no, no, you be okay and sit next to me because I want to pet you and comfort you. No. Okay. Whatever he wants to do. If he wants to sit next to you, then comfort him. If he wants to go and hide, let him go and hide. It's perfectly okay.
Okay. All right. Disha is asking, I have two beagles, one male and one female, and I'm a first-time pet parent. How do I take care of them during Diwali? Also, my male buddy doesn't like loud noises.
Okay. So if you have both two dogs and if they are super
They're
attached to each
beagles.
other, like Beagles, okay. But if at all, does one of them find the other one more comforting? Because that also a lot of times it helps. Just move. Sorry, he's getting into the camera. Yeah. So
He's
what
comforting us.
happens is, yeah. So see, this is something that I was saying. Okay, he will keep sitting next to me, and he will. Oh yeah, another thing because I just did it, so let me mention it. So a lot of this movement, yeah, a lot of circular movement to calm down your pets. So even here, even with your fingers, even with your fingers and your entire hand, then even at the
Okay.
ear tips, okay? So keep doing a lot of this. So a lot of circular
Okay.
movement. So here with your entire palm also you can do it and just with your fingers. See, this generally will put him to sleep. So he's used to this since he was a puppy. So the minute I start doing that, you'll see his eyes will start shutting very soon.
Right.
Okay, so do a lot of this. Instead of just touching this way, so a lot of us just
Mhm.
have a habit of touching this way.
Doing
Instead
this.
of
Yeah.
this, a circular movement is really, really helpful. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, coming back to her question about the two beagles. Um, if you can, if they are really attached to each other more than anything, then just let them, just be there and just cuddle and be okay together. If one of them is too scared, then just try to, again, like I said, the routine and all of that, more for that one than the other one. Yeah. And don't worry, just because he's scared, not like he's going to be scared, but probably because the other one is normal, he might even go and stick up to that one and get okay eventually and learn that, oh, there is no big deal. See, a lot of times fear, again, it's just a perception, right? Like certain dogs, nothing has even happened, like depending on your two dogs. But if he's had no prior bad experience, then it's just a perception. If he's had a bad experience, then we are in a problem. Okay. But if he's had no prior bad experience, then he's going to soon learn that, oh, I was scared for nothing. Like he'll see that the other dog is so chill, right? Like for example, I've like my own mother, right? To get on the escalators in the malls, she used to be petrified. I will not get onto this.
Right.
She will go look
Right.
for a staircase or a lift or something. Now the entire world is
Right.
getting onto it, but she would be scared. But it is a
Right.
perception. The more and more she saw after a lot of time that, oh, everyone gets onto it, she realized there was nothing. And today she does get onto it.
Right.
So if it
Right.
is that with your dog, don't worry. Soon he's going to realize that, oh, there's nothing. And especially he has your second dog to watch that, oh, there's nothing. If there is a prior bad experience, then of course, let us know. Then you have to change the pattern, change the entire issue.
Right. So a couple of new people joining us. We are discussing about how to comfort our pets this Diwali. And if you have any queries and questions regarding this, and if you want to talk about the behavioral change that you're noticing in your pets right now, then please drop in your queries in the comment section below, and Priyanka is going to answer them for you. So one interesting thing that I remember from what you said in the start of the session was that a lot of this is also genetic. So, talking about that, and sound sensitivity in specific, is it related to different breeds? And if yes, like which breeds are most likely to suffer this kind of anxiety during the festive time, and which are the ones that tend to be more comfortable?
Right. So see, again, it is to do with genetics 100%. Because again, like for example, look at indies, right? The ones you adopt off the street. Now they are gonna have a lot of sound sensitivity because again, when you say genetic predisposition, we're talking about generations and generations before, right? It's not just one or two, like not just the parents, grandparents. Even if people will say, no, we treated the parents and the grandparents nicely, they were well fed and everything, but still we're talking about a genetic predisposition where these dogs are exposed to sounds which are obviously not very nice for them, right? Like crackers have meant harm, vehicles have meant harm to them, because they see time and again that, someone gets hit or something bad happens. So they associate a lot of these sounds with a bad experience. Now this gets into the temperament of the dog. Temperament is something that the dog has genetically in them. Now, because of this, these dogs are going to be way more sensitive to it. Versus you look at your retrievers, again, when I say retrievers and all of this, I mean well bred. Okay, now today breeding is again all over the place. So, a lot of bad breeding practices are leading to even a lot of labs, retrievers also being very sensitive to sound, which is not normal. If you have a well bred dog, where the breeder is extremely ethical and he's done the right things, you will not see this issue. So wherever the breeding practices are good, like we've seen a few
Mhm.
Belgian Malinois and all of that, they are perfectly okay. Like I've seen a puppy, there are crackers and they'll go out and they'll watch that. Acha, what is this? They don't
Right.
care at all because they
Mhm.
have never even, it's not even there in their temperament to be sensitive to sounds.
Right.
So, like even for other examples, like vehicles and all of this, right? Like my retriever, I've had an Indie and a retriever, right? So my Indie knew if there was a vehicle, she would always move on the side, right?
Right.
Which is a
Right.
sign of, you would think, intelligence, but it was more than that, it was sensitivity. That, okay,
Sensitive.
she knows this means harm. Whereas my
Mhm.
retriever, she'll go in the middle of the road, like a blondie. That ye kya hai?
Right.
Like, okay, this is also fun. Okay, so that
Right.
because she has nothing in her temperament where she's scared of that. Right, so sound sensitivity is 100% there. It is to do with different breeds. So if you know that you have a breed like that, right, like if you have adopted an Indian, all of that, then it becomes all the more important for you to work on the desensitizing properly, right, from the time she's a puppy. So right from the time you have a pup, expose, and keep exposing and showing them that, okay, there is nothing. It's no big deal. Yeah, agreed, this is there. See, again, something which is there in the temperament of the dog, you're never ever going to be able to remove it. Okay, so you're never
Mhm.
ever going to be able to make your Indie as confident. But at least, like
Mhm.
I was saying in the beginning, her coping is going to be much better. Like my Indie initially would not
Right.
eat. Same thing during crackers.
Right.
But with repetitive exposure, she was fine. Like after that, a few Diwali, she would eat, even if there were crackers happening. But repetitive exposure, that's the only thing.
Right. Ruchi is asking which are the breeds who are sensitive. So apart from Indies, are there any other known breeds that?
Not really. See, again, it will be your breeding practices. If you are a good ethical breeder and you know what you're doing, if I see that something, if this dog is sensitive to sound, I should ideally not be mating this dog again. So it's all
Okay.
about breeding practices. See, technically, if you look at dogs when they evolved and when we domesticated them, they were not sensitive. It is bad breeding practices which have made them that. So, if you are an ethical breeder and you can absolutely observe every small thing, you will not mate a dog like that again. So, you should be able to avoid this, at least in the temperament of the dog. Then again, if something goes wrong during the raising period, it's a different topic altogether. Like I said, a bad
Hmm.
experience and all of that also can make a dog sensitive to sounds. But the genetic
Right.
part is definitely there in Indies, 100%.
Okay, so we were talking about the desensitization of these dogs, especially the dogs who are sensitive to sound, and the counter conditioning, right? So, what are the different ways? Like one you already mentioned was to get them used to car horns and all. So, what are other ways in which we can desensitize them to sounds? And is it just like related to sound? For example, there's this one question that has been put up by Adya. So she says that I have a boxer. He's really scared of even bicycles. So bicycles technically do not have like a horn, right? Except that maybe that
Yeah,
small
it's a
trim or
side.
whatever.
Yeah.
So is it just like this kind of desensitization? Is it just for sounds or loud noises,
No.
or is it in general like for anything that they might be scared of?
Exactly. Good question. So it is there for anything that they can be scared of. Now, where what desensitization means and what counter conditioning means. Yeah, so I will explain both
Right,
in short to you guys because that is the main thing you're going to be doing with fear. Now, what
right,
desensitization means is layman terms is you're going to keep exposing the dog to that slowly, slowly, from a distance to coming closer, and the dog has to realize on his own nothing is happening. But it is on his own. Like I was telling you about the staircase and all of that with my mom, right? On their own, they realize that wow, nothing is happening. Big deal. I was just scared for nothing. Now, when does
right,
counter conditioning come into the practice, into the question? Is the counter conditioning means there has been some conditioning first, right? Which you're countering. So that
right.
means some conditioning has been there, matlab there has been a bad experience for that conditioning to be there. Okay, now you're countering that. Matlab you're changing that conditioning. So when do you have to 100% do this is if your dog has had a bad experience. Okay, so I'll give you an example of my own dog. What happened when he was a puppy, in spite of being a trainer, I'm telling you these things happen because there are some things which are not in your control. You know, environmental stress is something it is ought to happen anytime, anywhere. So we were
Mhm.
playing in the parking area and there was this big metal sheet which was kept there and it fell and it made a loud sound. Now, ever
Right.
since that day, he started getting scared of loud sounds. Now,
Okay.
because of this, and it was something that happened to him, right? It was not something which was there right from the beginning. It was not there because as a puppy, I had seen him, he was much better. Now, because
Right.
of this, I had to change this conditioning for him that it's not always bad. So then I did exactly what I explained. That first I started with the desensitizing where I was just there would be sounds and I would just keep socializing him. Socializing means again, it is just you taking your dog to multiple places. It is not your
Mhm.
dog playing with other people and dogs, okay? The normal misconception where
Right.
people think socializing means your dog is playing with other people and dogs. No, it just means your dog is comfortable in different surfaces, sounds, sights, everything. Like the question with the bicycle. Now, if
Mhm.
has the dog had a bad experience with the bicycle where someone has hit him, scared him, कुछ तो गड़बड़ हुआ है, then you have to do the counter conditioning part as well. So wherein a bicycle will come and at the same time he'll get his favorite reward or the favorite toy. If it is nothing bad has happened, he's just scared. For some reason, it's just a perception that he's just scared. Just keep exposing, exposing. Soon the dog is going to realize, oh, big deal. There's nothing. And he'll be
Mhm.
okay. So for any sight, sound, anything, these things work. Umbrella. A lot of dogs I've seen getting freaked out with an umbrella. You open up the umbrella and they just freak out and they run. But sometimes they have not seen these things.
Right.
So if you just keep exposing them to that, they're going to be okay.
Right. There's a similar question actually by Pradyana Bhosle. They're saying that I have a 2 years old Siberian Husky. He is not so sensitive to sounds, but there's this one particular sound that gets him scared. Is the cylinder banging sound that comes when the cooking gas cylinder delivery vehicle comes. He also barks at our home cylinder. Is this normal? He's not that sensitive to any other sounds like some firecrackers or any other sudden sounds.
Right. See, sometimes what happens is now unknowingly we also have trained them to get scared of sound. So I've seen a very common practice during raising of dogs where people end up scaring the dog with a loud sound because they don't want to obviously correct the dog. Right? So there are multiple ways of correcting a young dog as well when they do something wrong. So probably a lot of especially positive trainers, pure positive trainers, what they're going to tell you is startle the dog, clap your hands, or take a newspaper roll and bang it on the side because they don't want to do anything to the dog, right? They don't want to give a direct consequence. But now these are the things where you actually conditioned your dog to get scared of sounds. And then you wonder during Diwali that why is your dog scared? Because you taught your dog right from the time he was a puppy that gets scared of loud sounds. Because you thought that was a good way to discipline him, right? You were startling him and getting him away. But we would
Hmm.
definitely not do that. Like we would directly correct the dog or we would move him away. So that's the reason your early raising is extremely important. If you are startling your dog at that time, so now similarly with the cylinder, just try to think, have you tried to scare your dog with any big object? Like, I've seen people who just push a bucket in the middle or push a chair just to startle the dog and move them back. Is it that? Or is it just, again, is it just the dog's perception? You have done nothing, but the dog is getting freaked out at the sound. If that is the case, then it's your best time to again start counter conditioning. Just start adding a good reward. Again, figure out what is rewarding to your dog. Okay, something that
Right.
is rewarding to one dog might not be to the other dog. If your dog loves to play, every time the cylinder comes, start playing over here. He'll forget about that sound. It'll go in the background.
Okay, so let's talk about particularly that what to do on the day of Diwali, right? Because that's the day when the maximum amount of firecrackers will go off and noises will be made. So, we spoke about like the rewarding part, which can be in terms of, like giving them their favorite treat or their toy, or making a comfortable spot for them and closing the windows. These are like common knowledge that pet parents have, and we also spoke about in the start. But then, for example, even here, Sherwin is saying that, he has a 3-year-old indie dog who starts whining every time there's a loud firecracker that goes off. And he has tried everything, he's tried giving him the favorite toy, favorite treat, but nothing works. And it breaks his heart. He's writing that. So, what can you do on the day of Diwali to comfort them, even when these things are not working out?
Right. See, so one thing is also, I'm really curious to know, even with this dog, like you're saying, the 3-year-old dog, what is the routine like every day? Right? Like, how are y'all exercising your dogs? Like, are y'all taking them for a good long walk? Are y'all playing with them? See, a lot of times a walk can also get boring after a point of time. But if you play, if you interact with them and have a good time with them, uske baad for your food also work them for the food. So what we do with our dogs till date, we'll train them for the food. They don't really get food from the bowls ever. Okay, no food bowls. They'll always get food in training. Now, because of this, their energies are channelized. Now, once that is done, then they are super tired. So even if there is a loud sound, like I told you with my one of my dogs, when I had to desensitize him and get him used to loud sounds, there were times he used to get still started. But if he was so tired, he'd had a long day working, he would just sleep off. Like he would get up, get started, look, and then he would be like, "Oh, I'm too tired to be bothered," and he would just sleep off.
Right.
So, for example,
Right.
I'll give you my personal example. Okay, so I'm petrified of darkness. Okay, petrified. So if
Okay.
there ever is a dark time, you will either see my torch in my hand or my dog with me. Now I don't know what my dog is going to do, but it just makes me
Right.
feel good. Okay. Like I
Yeah.
literally have Captain sitting next to me on my lap if it ever gets dark. But
Okay.
now, on there are times when I'm so tired. I've had a long day at work. I'm so tired. Or electricity jati bhi hai, I will fall asleep because I am tired. I
Right.
cannot be bothered to now. So I will probably get up and I'll be like, shit, it's dark. I'm getting scared, but I'm exhausted. I will sleep. So obviously, has your dog really gotten over the fear? No. Like I'm still scared of it, but at least you're helping them cope with it better. So on the day, obviously, right now, since we don't have the time to do the elaborate program of desensitization, at least what we can do is tire them out nicely, put them into that routine from now onwards, and then on when it is the time, just let them be comfortable. But at least tire them out first.
Right. That's actually a very good tip, I believe, because that's
Yes.
really gonna work. Because that works in like human case scenarios also,
Yes.
like you mentioned about being scared of dark. Okay, so tell me something, Priyanka, like when we're talking specifically about like routine. So on the day of Diwali or like 1 to 3 weeks or days before that day, what like there are two things that I want to know about, and I'm sure like everybody else who's listening right now wants to know about, is in terms of their routine. Like, do we need to make certain changes, like either when it comes to their walks? Or for example their meal routines, so like their meal timings and all, especially like since
Mm.
when they are especially scared, they tend to skip meals, or if
Yes.
there is, if they are so afraid of loud noises, then the pet parent might not take them out for walks as it is or at all. So how can we cope around that, like how can we work around that?
Right. So if you have an older dog, obviously this is going to be much, much easier because you might have to just feed them twice. And even if they do end up skipping one meal, it's still okay. Right. My bigger problem is with puppies. Right. Because if
Right.
puppies end up skipping too many meals, it's a problem. Like you don't want them to. So what you can do is definitely feed at a time when it's going to be much calmer. So maybe so you figure out in your locality what normally the trend is. When do they burst crackers? So I know where I used to live, it used to be early morning and in the evening time. So then feed your dog at that time, feed them in the afternoon and feed them late night, which is okay. They can get used to this. Even your puppies, just in case they're getting too freaked out, split those 3 meals or 4 meals into 2 meals and give it in the afternoon and the night. You don't have to give them those 3 meals. Obviously, your toilet training might go for a toss a little bit, but then we can work on it later, just so that at least they don't skip meals. Another very important thing is obviously, during Diwali and a lot of our festivals, we don't end up, a lot like my own family, we are like pure vegetarians at home. So we will not end up
Right.
cooking meat during those times. But try to find a way where you can still do something. So what I would do is I would just go out and feed her or something like that. Because then what happens is I don't want to add another stress or then be struggling to make her eat something which she's not going to eat, quickly. Like my Hindi, she would do anything for chicken. Okay, if I
Right.
have to give her anything else, there is no way she was going to eat. Even on a normal day, she'll trouble me. So on a day
Right.
when she's stressed out, there is no chance she's going to eat anything else. So then, figure out a way. If there is an option where, we can feed maybe in another area, maybe we can go in the parking area. And if it's okay, if at all, again, we know that, we are really, rules are pretty strict at our place and we cannot, for no reason, we cannot give chicken or anything like that. Then maybe for the next time, start getting your dog used to some veg food as well, right from the beginning.
Right.
So maybe a curd rice or vegetables or something like that. But then you have to get them used to it right from the beginning, where they love that also just as much as they would like chicken. So because I knew this was my problem with my first dog, my second dog, I've been very careful that you be okay with anything. That even curd rice has to be that exciting. Even veggie rice has to be that exciting. So then I don't have a problem with eating. Yeah, so you see whichever one is feasible for you.
Okay. All right. So, Priyanka, talking about puppies in general and, like new pet parents, because, they will be struggling with this even more so because they've not had that much of time in hands yet to train them for this day, right? So, what kind of tips would you like to give such people as to how they can make their pets comfortable? Because I can see a question related to this. Sunanda is asking that I recently adopted a puppy. She's hardly 8 weeks old and gets extremely anxious at the sound of car horns. Also, I wonder what will happen during the day of Diwali. Any quick tips about the younger pups as to how we can comfort them?
Yeah. See, younger pups, I would 100% all I would tell you is you calm down. Because pups will eventually learn to cope. Okay, they have had no bad experience, hopefully, like when you've adopted her. Again, I don't
Right.
know her history. If she's come from some background like that, then if she's already had a bad experience. But other than that, let her cope. She will learn that nothing is happening, but you don't freak out. So a lot of times we as, obviously out of just the care and concern, we'll try to do something a lot. Either we'll depending on our personality again, we'll either try to force them out of their area and be like, no, no, you see this and be okay with it, or you're going to
Mhm.
be over concerned that, listen, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Just be normal. Let her cope because if she's 8 weeks old, that means she's just 2 months old. She is going to be okay. Like mostly she's anxious right now, but the more and more she keeps seeing that "Arey, everything is good, she is going to be okay. What I want you to be careful though is her next month between her 3 to 4 months of age. Try to be very careful with what you are exposing her to. No bad
Mhm.
experiences at all. Okay, like be really careful with the environmentals and everything. So even when you are socializing her, make sure you're not overdoing anything. Make sure you're not flooding her. So if you see that, okay, now for example a car sound, make sure that okay वो car उधर से जा रही है and you're just walking past. Now just because you know that she's scared of car sounds, don't make her walk towards it, okay, to get her okay with it. That's basically flooding. It might work for some dogs, yeah, so just to put them in the situation and be like deal with it. Okay, it might work again depending on the genetics. Some dogs will cope, they will know okay there is just no way out and have to be okay. Some dogs will shut down, they will hate their walks
Right.
after that. They will stop
Right.
wanting to go out for walks because they will feel that "Arey, every time I go out, something like this happens." So that's another thing for younger dogs when you are socializing. If you know that there is an issue, like there is a problem area, like a car horn for this dog, at least try to take her at a time. So probably early mornings or something like that, or afternoon time, depending on where you're living. If there are going to be less number of vehicles, take her down at that time. So maybe one of the walks are like all chill. Second walk, all chill. Third walk, okay, there is a sound that happens. Every walk, that car sound shouldn't happen. If every so you might end up overdoing it because you want her to get okay with the sound, but then she will start hating the walk. Forget getting okay with the sound.
Right.
Okay? So it has to be random. It cannot be every walk.
Hmm, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so while you're on the topic of walking specifically, I can see two very interesting questions out here. So, Yash says that again, the same thing, that the routine of my pup completely goes haywire during these days. Can't take them out for regular walks. What do you suggest we do in this situation? Are there any indoor training tips or exercises like which they can substitute their walks with?
Absolutely, absolutely. So playing is something that you can really do depending on how your dogs are. So what we can do is, again, Soumya, if you are ever going to be up for this topic, maybe we can take up this topic one day about just playing,
Right.
how to play with your dog because there's just so much to explain on that. But now looking at
Right.
your dogs, maybe see what they like to do. So if they like to fetch, play a lot of fetch. If they like to tug, see that
Mhm.
there are too many variations of tug that you can do, which can mentally drain out a dog. But it's a big topic for me to be able to explain like this in short. But playing is one way where you can really drain out your dog's energy. So there are times when I can play fetch with my dog for 1 hour, and he will keep going and getting the dog again, keep getting the ball again. So do that. Or a tug game with just 10 minutes and he's tired. Like the tug game, I can like literally get him tired in just 10 minutes. So it really depends on how you're playing. One, that. Two, with the food, if depending on how your dogs are motivated with food, train with food. So do simple commands, whatever your dogs know, your sit, down, stay, work on those. So make them a little bit more difficult, make them a little bit more challenging. See, a lot of times people teach sit and down, all these things on their own these days. I see owners doing a fabulous job with these things. Yeah, I see a lot of videos. Just start adding challenges. So if your dog is doing a good sit and down, start working on the time. So make them be in the stay for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Then start adding a little bit of distance. Then start adding a little bit of distraction where, while your dog is on a sit, start bouncing the ball or get someone else to walk past. See, these are the things, and your dog has to still be in the stay. These are the things which mentally really drain them out. One, they
Right.
drain them out mentally because they have to be obedient and they have to listen, the training part. And two, obviously they're working for their food. So they are going to be tired by the end of it. So do this, and it's also interaction with you. See, these are the things where your dogs actually enjoy it a lot more. You can do those isolating games where you give him something to, those board games and all of those things, but still they will not be that tiring than the interaction between you and your dog. So find a way for you and your dog to do something together, whether it is playing or training or something, some obedience. Just see what your dog likes more, and then you can do one of those things.
Okay. I think this answers Ruchi's question as well. She had a similar question that the day after Diwali is the absolute worst to take the dog out for walks, as there is a lot of residue. More often than not, the walk and play is skipped, and then my dog gets extremely restless. So, how do we help here? So, like with the dogs getting
Yeah.
restless, to these kind of games and all, would they help with the restlessness?
Absolutely, absolutely. Play like crazy, train like crazy. See, when you get, so that's what now, keep your food bowls away. I would really suggest all of you keep your food bowls away. Train with the food. Take your dog food in your hand, start training. Do whatever you want to. You don't need to always train only for treats. Use the treats for a jackpot reward when your dog really does something great, like really amazing. Other than that, let them work every day. Like my 2.5 year dog also, every time I get the food out, he's like, okay, what do I do? Should I do heel? Should I do sit? Should I do down? Should I do this? So because of that, he gets really tired. Every meal time is training time. So
Mhm.
that's a great activity to do together. You can
Mhm.
probably check out a couple of videos on our page to get a little bit of idea what to do.
Right, right. That's nice. Okay, cool. So, we're getting a lot of more questions. So, people who are joining us now, we are talking about various different ways to comfort our pets during Diwali, especially if they are sensitive to sound and loud noises and firecrackers. And if you have any queries regarding that, we have the last 15 minutes of our session left. So please drop them in the comment section below, and Priyanka is going to answer them for you. Okay, moving on. Ruchi says, my 3-year-old lab keeps barking at loud noises on a usual basis, also trucks, kids playing, etc. It becomes relentless when crackers go off. How to immunize her to this?
Wow, okay. So I think he's playing more than anything. Okay, so for any of these kind of behaviors, right, like it's a small trick. What you can start teaching is teach your dog to bark on command and then
Mm-hmm.
teach your dog to be quiet on command. So now since he's already barking, right, like put a cue to it. So if you can do this on your own, so you know what the triggers are, just before that happens, just say your bark word or something. And then teach a quiet after that. So teach these opposite behaviors. That will become much easier than you just struggling for the quiet, 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 quiet. Instead, give him a way that, okay, barking is also okay, but then there is a quiet. And you keep marking. So obviously there is training for this that you'll have to teach a marker first. So teach him a marker word and then associate a bark and a quiet command. Maybe take help of a trainer to get this sorted.
Okay, okay. Kritika is asking, a friend has a couple of village dogs in mountains as friends. Any way we can make sure that they don't get anxious during the celebrations?
Oh, okay. What you can do is open up some space, maybe wherever, if there is a house or a, parking area or some place where you can let these dogs just come in and rest, because at least that is something we can do, because they are going to be scared and they'll be running helter skelter. So at least they have some place to come and hide. Because if you are anyway feeding them, maybe right before put them in and let them just be indoors, because otherwise there is a high chance of them getting lost. Like we hear a lot of strays getting lost during Diwali because they get scared and they just go to another territory. Yeah.
Yeah,
And because
yeah,
of that, what happens is one, either they get lost or they get killed because the other dogs are not going to let them be there. So if you
right.
are feeding some strays in your area, at least try to keep them in your parking space during this time. I'm sure,
Right.
see, most of your strays are going to be more than happy to go and get their freedom once this sound is gone, right? Maybe you'll be stuck with a few who'll start enjoying the comfort of your house and you might have to eventually adopt them. I hope that doesn't happen. But I think most of them will be happy. See, once the sound is off, they will love to get their freedom back. But get them in before, because see, running away, they will find the comfort eventually under something, but I'm just worried that they should not get lost and they should not get into fights when they cross their territory. That's the only concern.
Mhm.
So let them be in
Right.
into your parking area some space.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we had a similar question about this also. Okay. Uh, All right. So we have a couple of more questions there is one from Shivani. She says that, hi, I have a 2-year-old Doberman. He earlier had different temperament with male dogs. He was polite with female dogs and puppies, but now he's aggressive with every dog. How to make him socialize? Please help. We are unable to take him to social gatherings.
Okay, this is not to do with sound, but okay, you want me to take this just generally to ask? Okay.
Yeah.
See, with this dog, what I would suggest is first you need to understand what your dog is and what socializing really means, right? See, there are certain dogs with a temperament where they are not going to always be friendly with other dogs, right? Like my one of my dogs. Okay,
Right.
he has it in his temperament to be aggressive to another dog. All I can do with training is I can make him neutral, but I cannot make him love another dog. Okay,
Right.
unless it's a dog of your family. So if you ever end up getting another dog, of course, we have to work harder to make sure both of them are okay. But if your
Right.
dog is not liking other dogs or if he doesn't want to play with other dogs, it's perfectly fine. Like every human is not an extrovert. Some of them are introverts. They'll go to a big party but still be in the corner having their own food. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
change it. It's okay. It's just the nature. Let it be. See, as
Right.
long as your dog is not going to kill another dog. So socially aggressive is not okay. Socially neutral is okay. So if your dog is going to attack another dog, get in touch with a trainer nearby and get that issue sorted. It's not okay to charge at another dog or attack another dog. But if he's neutral, he just doesn't want to play, it's perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. Okay, Sai Shivani asks, and I think we should, also close the session with this. Can you tell me more of such alternative remedies like music therapy you talked about that we can easily try at home? And
So
before we move on to those alternate remedies, I had one more question about the music therapy bit. So, what is the volume, like suggested volume you think that we should keep the music on for? Also,
yeah.
because is it that effective during the day of Diwali, considering that there's anyway going to be so much noise of firecrackers and all outside? So, wouldn't that mask the music that we are trying to play for them to, for them to be calm?
Right. So obviously it will mask if you're in an outdoor space. Yeah. If you are in your house, you can close the windows, doors and, be there and that should help. If you're in an outdoor space, yes, it is going to mask. So even if you increase the volume, it's going to go in the background. So it's not going to work.
Yes.
But if you are in the house, you could close everything and play the music, play it at a normal sound, not very high, not very low. And that should help. Now, how is it helping? Like I told you, it was conditioning. Right, a lot of things in our dogs is conditioning. So, for example, when you enter the house, or when typically people tell me, I parked my car and my dog knew. How does he know? Because he knows
Right.
that sound is associated with you coming in, is associated with something good. Right. So
Mm.
similarly, the music sound is it's going to be an association that is going to be okay. That means I have to rest. Like I was telling you that example of me telling the Alexa that, okay, Alexa, play sleeping music. My dogs know that, okay, it's
Yeah.
time to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, or
Yeah.
putting off the light. See, all this is conditioning. When you put off the light, why does your dog sleep? I mean, if you've done the right kind of raising. So my dog, he
Right.
will be following me, like you saw, he was coming here, sitting and all of that. But the minute I put off the light and I lie down, he will not trouble me. He will just go and he will cuddle and he'll sleep. The minute I wake up, so he also knows my alarm sound. The minute my alarm goes off, he is like, okay, I think it's morning. We have to get up.
It's time to be.
So they are
Yeah.
condition. Everything is conditioning. Okay.
Mhm.
So that way. Now, alternative therapy, okay, I have personally not tried all of these, but I have heard flower remedy definitely works. I can
Okay.
find out and I can put it up probably for people also to read about. So, flower therapy works. Also, there are some, I don't know what it's called exactly, some liquid you put it in the water for them to drink it
Essential
in their
oils.
regular water.
Are
I
they
don't know what
essential?
it is. I can find out, huh? Probably.
All
But those things also work. So flower therapy and all of these things work. I'll find out because I know people who do this. So I'll find out and you can definitely try those things.
Okay, interesting. So, Priyanka, looks like our time is up and we have to end the live session now. Is any closing words, anything, any message that you want to give to people who tuned in and who are probably anxious about their anxious pets? Any exclusive lines?
Yes, 100%. See, one thing is you need to really be chill. You be okay because a lot of times our anxiety is what is getting onto the dogs, right? So many times. So I have seen this. It's a handler error. It's nothing else. So a lot of times when I'm anxious, my dog already starts looking up that, okay, what is happening? Especially if you have a very strong bond with your dog, right? Like my dog is literally picking up on my emotions constantly. Like I'll give you a small, simple example of once I was healing with him and I was really nervous about is something going right or wrong. So I was saying good boy, but in my head I was really stressed out because I knew I was
Yeah.
working at something and I was not smiling. So I was just saying good boy, and I was really nervous. And my dog was just, he was healing at this pace. There was no tail wag, nothing. And then my partner who was looking at me training, I'm like, what is happening? And he said, chill and smile. I said, oh shit, yeah. The minute I started smiling and
Right.
my anxiety level dropped, he was like, okay, he started healing properly, like
Mhm,
the way he trots.
mhm.
So you first be calm because your dog is picking up on your energy. As long as you
Right.
know, see, you are in a safe place, nothing is going to happen to your dogs, right? You are in a safe place. So don't be anxious. I mean,
Right.
obviously, if you are outdoors and there is a risk of your dog getting hurt, I would understand. At that time, obviously, get your
Right.
dogs in or something like that. Keep them in a safe place, let them be, and you be chill, have a good routine so that your dogs are also calm. A lot is to do with your energy. Remember, your dogs are reading your emotions. All your dog is doing is
Right.
they are watching you. Okay, continuously your dog is watching you. So if you can smile and
Right.
be okay, be like it's a normal day. Don't be nervous,
Right.
don't behave differently. Don't keep looking at him every 2 minutes. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah.
Right. Right.
Just
Makes
be
sense.
normal. You are in a safe place, you are in your house. So obviously your dog has a safe place to go to, right? Under the bed or under the sofa or something like that. Let them be there. Don't flood. 100% remember that. No pulling him out just to make him stronger and confident. No. Let him hide if he wants to hide. And the next thing is if he is coming close to you to for comfort, touch him. Okay, fear
Right.
is not reinforced by touching. Okay, so a lot of times people don't end up touching because they feel, Arey, the fear will get reinforced. ऐसे नहीं होता है. If anything is working as a reinforcer, then what should have happened is you not touching should have taken the fear away. Is that what is
Right.
happening? It's not, right? Your dog is still scared. Even if you're not touching, your dog is scared. That
Still
means you
scared.
touching has nothing. Yeah, you're just there for your dog, which is okay. So don't worry. Whatever your dog wants, just be there and have a good time. Have a happy Diwali.
Yeah, yeah, that those were some brilliant insights by you, Priyanka, and you help us understand a lot more about how to comfort them during Diwali, pre, post Diwali, and even their overall well-being. So thank you so much for these
I
brilliant
just have
insights.
one more thing. Sorry, I have one more
Yeah,
thing. I just
yeah,
remembered.
please
This
go
is
ahead.
this is on that day is what I said right now. But if you have younger dogs or even older dogs where you see there is an issue, please take training seriously. Work on it. Like I told you with my own dog, there was a bad incident when he was 3.5 months old. I had to work for at least 1.5, 2 years to get him okay with it. Okay, today he hears a cracker. His first reaction still is he will move back, but then the next second he goes out and he looks. The other day he was actually barking at a cracker, which I was like, wow, finally. Okay, after
Right,
1.5, 2 years of this work. It takes
right.
time. Okay, fear issues will take time. Be patient, but work on it. Please don't ignore it till now. It's okay, it's right here, and now what do I do? So if you
Hmm.
can see any of these things, if there is an issue already, work on it. And if there is no issue, like someone was asking about puppies, socialize. Heavy socializing. Okay, keep taking them out. So what I used to do with my puppies, so you remember these palki and all these things, right? That happen. Or there is a marriage procession, anything that's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
Get your dog
somebody
out
actually
and
even
walk them through it.
mentioned. Yeah, because somebody mentioned this. I remember reading this that they said that they are like their pet is absolutely okay with firecrackers, but they bark at the dhol wala. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
procession.
So
Yeah.
expose them. Yeah. Like whenever,
Yeah.
like there are times when I would see a marriage procession happening somewhere, or I would just hear something happening far away. I used to put
Mm,
my dog in the car, take him there, park my car, and I used to walk him around. Just walk him around. I really, once I had a cop asking me, what are you doing here in Palki with your dog? I said,
mm,
nothing. I just wanted him to see these things, that a Palki procession looks different. There are people carrying something on their head. Let them see things. Okay, show them the world. Whenever you have an opportunity, socialize your dog. So I used to go to drop my mom every day. I used to put him in the car and take him. So a new place, a new, so just keep heavily socialize your dog. Socializing is one thing which will make your dog at least cope better. Yeah.
right. Anything else, Priyanka,
Okay.
that you want to highlight?
I think I should stop talking. I will keep talking otherwise.
No, you did give us like some really, really good insights, and I'm sure that a lot of people who have even mentioned here, a lot of pet parents who joined us, they are happy, and they have at least some clue on what to do now. So thank you,
Yes,
pet parents, who
great.
joined us and who participated in this session. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for joining us. And for people
Thank
who
you.
missed this, don't worry, these live sessions will be a regular affair. We'll be covering different topics every week. So meanwhile, once this video is over, you can watch it on Purana's Facebook page, which is Purana Proplan India. And like Priyanka said, have a safe and noise-free and happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy Diwali. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being so patient and listening. Thank you so much. Thank you, Soumya. Always a pleasure with Pet Fed
Same here.
India.
Yes.
See
Thank you,
you.
Priyanka.
Bye.
See you.